Welcome to today's Explainer. Let's jump right in. I want you to imagine sitting in a clinical psychologist office. There's a client sitting across from them, and they are just absolutely exhausted. They ask this desperate question: how do I shut off my brain? You know that feeling, right? When your mind just simply refuses to shut down. You're lying awake, staring at the ceiling, and your brain is just running at a million miles an hour. It is literally completely draining. Well, today, we're going to unpack exactly why that happens, and we're going to totally reshape how we view our own mental energy. So, is your thought pattern actually broken? Because honestly, that is exactly what we are conditioned to believe. Just think about our daily reality for a second, especially if you're in a high-pressure workplace. You'll endlessly replay some tense meeting with your boss from like 3 days ago. You obsess over an email you just sent to a client. You anticipate a dozen different failures before a project even officially launches. And what does society tell us about all of this? It labels it a flaw. It tells you it's a weakness. It constantly reinforces this idea that you have a fundamentally broken thought pattern that desperately needs to be fixed. Society totally conditions us to view this endless rumination as a glitch in the system. But the massive breakthrough in that psychological session happens when we realize the exact opposite is true. This isn't a malfunction at all. It's actually a highly evolved protective mechanism. Listen to this. You don't overthink because your brain is broken. You overthink because your brain is actively and desperately trying to protect you. Okay, so overthinking is, by definition, the mind's biological process of scanning for patterns and anticipating problems to keep you safe. Let's look at the biology of this really quick. Deep within your brain, the amygdala acts as this evolutionary alarm system. Back in ancient times, that hypervigilance kept us alive against actual physical threats. Fast forward to today, and our modern brain treats a high-stakes presentation or just normal workplace stress with that exact same pattern-recognizing intensity. It's constantly scanning your environment, it's trying to connect the dots, and it's looking for solutions long before the problems even arise in the real world. This is the exact moment in the therapy session where the whole paradigm shifts and the psychologist tells their exhausted client, that's not dysfunction, that's your mind working too hard to keep you safe. And I want to say, if you are someone who carries a lot of shame or frustration about having a highly active mind, I really want you to release that right now. Your mind isn't betraying you. Actually, it's more like an overzealous bodyguard. It's working overtime entirely out of a deeply ingrained biological desire to make absolutely sure you are safe and prepared. Section 2, the deeper truth, the power of caring. This marks the next phase of our mindfulness tutorial, where we shift from understanding those biological mechanics right into embracing deep empathy. This brings us to such a beautiful, grounding realization. The people who overthink the most are almost always the ones who care deeply. And that completely changes the conversation, doesn't it? It takes the focus away from the anxiety of the biology and places it firmly on the individual's heart. If your mind is constantly racing, well, it's almost always because you are profoundly invested in the world around you. You aren't just overthinking, you are overcaring. To see exactly how that deep caring manifests in the real world, let's consider a marketing director. We'll call her Sarah. Now, Sarah constantly thinks about how her words impact her team. She weighs emotional resonance super carefully. She worries intensely about getting things right, and she really feels the heavy weight of project outcomes. But in her high-pressure environment, her unique ability to notice the small things allows her to catch subtle market trends before literally anyone else in her industry. Her active mind isn't a hindrance at all. It is for sure her greatest professional asset. We're often told that all this hyper-awareness is just a sign of weakness, but the absolute truth is that it is a profound sensitivity to meaning and depth. That deep empathy, that tendency to turn things over and over again in your head, that's the exact fuel required for deep creativity and meaningful work. It is literally the definition of depth. Section 3, Directing Your Mind, the Shift to Empowerment. Now that we've validated the true nature of our active minds, we're entering the actionable, step-by-step tutorial phase of our explainer to put this into practice. The very first step here is realizing you cannot simply stop trying to think less. It's like trying to turn off a high-powered race car engine while you're driving down the highway. Instead, you gotta start directing your thoughts better. So how do we actually do this? We begin with simple morning routines to set a calm daily intention, coupled with daily journaling techniques. By dumping all those racing thoughts onto paper first thing in the morning, you give your highly active mind a safe place to land before the chaotic workday even begins. You're basically giving that powerful pattern recognition engine a super clear focal point. Your overthinking mind isn't the problem. How you use it is the solution. Because directing that energy is absolutely key, I want you to try these 3 specific reflection exercises to channel your mental energy right into deep work. First up, the worry to action translation. Whenever you catch a spiraling thought, write down the worry, and then immediately write down one concrete action step to address it. Second, designate a specific 15-minute hyper-focus window where you allow yourself to actively overthink a complex problem without any guilt whatsoever. Just go for it. And third, consciously channel your anxious energy into focused creative projects. Turn that rumination into pure productivity. When that therapy client we talked about earlier finally understands this framework, everything changes. They realize, you're not broken, you're just untrained. I just want to pause for a second and let that powerful realization really land, because this is the ultimate takeaway here. You are not clinically flawed. You simply have a high-performance brain that you just haven't been trained to drive yet. Once you permanently shift your perspective to this empowered viewpoint, you can stop fighting your own mind and start actively training it to work for your success. So I want to leave you with this question. What is one deep intention you will direct your mind toward today? You have this incredible biological pattern-recognizing gift. Whether you're navigating intense workplace challenges or diving into deep creative projects, your sensitive, overthinking brain is actually a superpower, just waiting to be directed. Please don't let it sit there idling on worries. I challenge you to write down a single intention right after we wrap up here. Give your brilliant brain a job to do. Learn to use it today.